Now at 10, a shooting after a Miami high school football game. Also, the American Heart Association continues to raise awareness. We also take a look at the annual Collectors Expo.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good evening. This is your KOAM News at 10. I'm Jalen Banks. We start with a shooting out in Tulsa involving the Miami high school football team. At the conclusion of the Miami War Dogs football game against McLean Magnet School in Tulsa, shots were fired. Officers found 2 17-year-old males who were shot at the scene. One was pronounced dead and the other in critical condition. In a statement released by Miami School Superintendent Nick Highsmith, he says that Miami will not travel to Tulsa McLean ever again or participate in any school activities with McLean. Homicide detectives are actively working on the case. If you have any information, call the Tulsa Police non-emergency number at 918-596-9222. The annual American Heart Association Heart Walk was held at Leggett and Platt Center at Missouri Southern State University. Educational booths and survivors explain the impact of a community coming together to fight a cause. The money raised is used to help the American Heart Association fund critical research, healthy lifestyles, and CPR education.
I do. I think it makes people more aware of symptoms of heart disease and strokes and heart attacks, and makes them more aware of what's going on and help to prevent those things from happening.
KOAM's Jordan Aubry helped MC the event. Neosho Art Council hosted a sidewalk chalk art contest to kick off Neosho's Fall Festival. A variety of artists, young and mature, created beautiful sidewalk masterpieces. The contest encouraged the community to interact with local artists in action. Neosho hosts its annual Fall Festival on the first Saturday in October. Hurricane Ian is being blamed for at least 22 deaths in Florida. The storm is no longer a hurricane and is moving north along the East Coast, but the devastation left behind will be seen for weeks, maybe even months. CBS's Jason Allen is in Northport, Florida with the latest.
Residents across Central Florida are doing what they can to help each other in the devastating wake of Hurricane Ian. Kaylin Early is trying to get through the floodwaters to get her grandparents a generator.
I think we're just about at 8 feet right now.
So your only choice here obviously was
Kayak.
And so this is the only way out for you guys right now?
Pretty much.
Jimmy Finks is ferrying his neighbors to safety until more help arrives.
And they're supposedly airboating people out, but I don't know, the water's getting pretty high, so I want to get out while we can.
Governor Ron DeSantis says crews have knocked on more than 3,000 doors as they look for survivors, including on hard-hit Sanibel Island, which had its lone bridge to the mainland washed away.
I think the issue is going to be who is going to want to stay there long term, knowing that the power situation is not great.
Hurricane Ian is estimated to be one of the costliest storms in U.S. history. President Biden said 44,000 workers from more than 33 states are working around the clock to try to restore power.
It's going to take months, years to rebuild. And our hearts go out to all those folks whose lives have been absolutely devastated by this storm.
Many residents are simply overwhelmed at the cleanup that's ahead of them.
I just told myself I feel like I want to sit in a corner and cry. I don't know what else to do. I just don't know.
On Friday, Ian made landfall for the second time in the U.S., this time in South Carolina, but as a weaker Category 1 storm.
Oh man, it's washing it away!
It's still packed enough punch to wreck this pier. Jason Allen, CBS News, Northport, Florida.
The annual Collectors Expo show kicked off. The expo had cosplay contests, comic books, comic creators, and video game tournaments. The event is similar to that of San Diego's Comic-Con. The event also had some special guests.
Well, I like to get deals on stuff for my own collections, but of course, seeing a lot of my other friends here around, so we can get together and have a good time at other places and see other people of the geek community in costumes and other things that they do is a lot of fun.
The expo was held at Cecil Floyd Elementary in Joplin. Joplin's Porch Fest was put on by the North Heights neighborhood. Porch Fest is a celebration of Joplin's best music, food, and art. Musicians play on the front of porches 1 hour at a time. Food trucks and artists also set up in the street.
I think that one of the greatest things about this is where you would normally go and pay about $30, $40 for these local musicians. They're willing to volunteer their afternoons to come and showcase our neighborhood and show us their music, where most people wouldn't be able to go out and on the weekends to go see them sometimes, and now they get to do that in their own neighborhood.
Porch Fest is run completely by local volunteers. Most are a part of North Heights Neighborhood Group, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to improving the neighborhood. Every fall, Lamar, Missouri celebrates their very own legendary beginnings. The celebration remembers Wyatt Earp, who was the city's constable in 1869. Residents enjoyed the day with food, crafts, baby shows, and live music.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of Wyatt Earp Fall Fest is just to see everyone having so much fun right here locally. I think a lot of times, people think if I want to have fun, I've got to leave Lamar, leave Barton County. But, that's just not so. You can have fun right here in our community with our friends and our neighbors, and it's great to be a part of this.
Wyatt Earp left Lamar heading west, starting the journey of what would become one of America's frontier legends. Well, we had lots of outdoor activities and we had some nice weather. Sam?
That's right. We've had lots of outdoor activities this weekend, and it was a perfect weekend to have that, with temperatures very, very pleasant for this time of year. Kind of cool in the morning, though. We start out in the 40s, then we make it up into the upper 70s to around 80 degrees in the afternoon. Then we cool back down into the 40s at night, and then right back up into the 80s as we head through the afternoon hours. And we're going to be on this little bit of a roller coaster for the next couple of days with warm afternoons and cool nights. And we can see that in our look ahead. Chilly nights ahead with pleasant week in store. We also have some rain chances in our forecast, but that won't be until next weekend. And of course, I'll have details on that coming up in our forecast in just a little bit.
We now take time to honor tonight's Force Aid hero. Seaman First Class Noel Bierbauer served in the Navy. The Fort Scott, Kansas native served in Guam and Pearl Harbor. To Seaman First Class Noel Bierbauer, we thank you, our Force Aid hero. Coming up, a new concern for children infected with COVID-19. A new concern for children infected with COVID-19 and the benefits from just one dose of the monkeypox vaccine. Naomi Ruckham takes a look at some of this week's top health stories.
Just one dose of the monkeypox vaccine appears to keep at-risk men healthy, according to U.S. health officials. CDC tracking over the summer found men who were eligible for the vaccine but did not get one were 14 times more likely to become infected compared to men who got one shot. Officials are still urging at-risk individuals to get a second dose for full protection. Children who've been infected with COVID-19 show a substantially higher risk of developing type 1 diabetes. A study in JAMA Network Open tracked more than 1 million patients 18 and younger. Researchers found a 72% increase in new diagnoses of type 1 diabetes within 6 months of an infection. And the largest study on vaping to date has found people who vape face far fewer health risks than if they smoked. London researchers found vapers had much lower levels of nicotine and disease-causing toxins in their blood compared to smokers. Researchers also found vaping is the best way to quit smoking. Those are some of this week's top health stories. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
A new study says an unhappy state of mind might accelerate aging. A study from startup Deep Longevity Limited that examined people's aging clocks says being unhappy or lonely can speed up the aging process even more than smoking. Researchers say the psychological factors of unhappiness can add 20 months to one's biological age. The study adds unhappiness or loneliness increases risk of cardiovascular disease by roughly 1/3 and can accelerate the risk of Alzheimer's, diabetes, and other diseases. The food pressed from olives and has wonderful health benefits. Extra virgin olive oil is extracted from first pressing of olives and is the least processed, keeping its natural antioxidants and vitamins. When used in healthy diets, it can also help lower risk of heart disease. While extra virgin olive oil is now mostly used for cooking, it also has ties to lamp fuel and religious ceremonies in the Mediterranean. The Food and Drug Administration is proposing new restrictions for using the healthy claim on food packaging. According to the FDA, roughly 5% of packaged food products are labeled as healthy. The agency regulates the claim and first defined in 1994. Now the FDA wants to update the definition to match current nutrition science. In order to have the claim healthy on the packaging, the FDA says products would need to contain a certain amount of food from at least one of the recommended food groups. They also have the cut certain nutrients that are bad for you, such as sodium and added sugars. Later, how a special soul will be celebrating 108 years of life.
And we have a great forecast in store for you, so you want to stay tuned for that, including some rain chances. We'll be back. What a great way to start off the weekend with lots of sunshine, light winds, and warm temperatures, and also some cool nights. And it looks like it's going to stay that way for just a little bit longer right now outside at the Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Pretty nice evening down in Seneca, Missouri, as well as across the entire area. This afternoon, we made it up to 82 degrees in Joplin, starting out at 45, which was quite cool. We've been down as low as 32 degrees on this date back in 1985 and as warm as 94 back in 1953. And we've had a warm summer, and we've also had a warm September. As we look at the temperatures, they averaged out around 3 degrees above normal, so that makes it the 13th hottest September on record in Joplin, and also dry. And of course, we can see that on radar. Not a whole lot going on across our area, and it hasn't been for quite some time, and we desperately need the precipitation. There is some storminess going on in the Rocky Mountains. You can kind of see the swirl here in western Wyoming. That's the next storm system, but it's going to take its slow, sweet time making its way towards the east. You can see some rain in western Nebraska, northeastern Colorado this evening, even some severe weather, believe it or not, down in southeastern Utah earlier this evening. No severe weather in our forecast for the time being. Instead, we're going to see easterly winds, and temperatures are generally in the 60s right now. 60 in Joplin, 61 up in Lamar, 62 in Nevada. A little bit cooler down in Oklahoma, where it's 52 right now in Jay. The dew points, though, are very low, and that's what's allowing our temperatures to really drop at night. As we see dew points in the 30s, this kind of gives us a first clear indication of how low we can go as far as the temperatures. We're not going to see 30s, but at least we're going to see 40s by tomorrow morning. Right now in Joplin, we're sitting at 60. It feels like 60. Dew point is 39, and the pressure is currently rising on the hour. Your future track forecast looks like this. Tonight, mostly fair with lows again in the 40s across our area. 46 in Mound City, Nevada, pick out your hometown. You can see that pretty nice conditions. Then tomorrow, basically a repeat of today, with highs in the upper 70s to around 80 degrees, a little bit warmer out to the west with Independence at 83 and Nowata the same thing, and then a little bit cooler up to the north. Then Sunday night into Monday, we're going to see lows once again in the upper 40s to right around 50 degrees, 49 in Miami, 48 in Welch, as well as Garnett. Then Monday afternoon, we're going to see temperatures in the low 80s across our area and mid 80s out to the west, with Independence and Coffeyville checking in with around 85. Then, as we go into Tuesday morning, we'll see lows just a little bit warmer because of southeasterly winds, so we'll see lows generally in the lower 50s across our area. All right, let's take a look at the next 7 days. 80 tomorrow, 82 Monday, 83 on Tuesday, 82 on Wednesday with an isolated storm chance. Then as we go towards next weekend, that's when the rain chances really start to increase and cooler temperatures as well. So at least we have a chance of rain in there, but let's enjoy the next few days while we have it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been begging for cooler temps for the longest now, so
and
super
now they're
happy.
arriving. Mm-hmm.
All right, well, sounds good.
Yeah.
And now returning to sports, 10th ranked Pitt State hosted Missouri Southern State this afternoon.
Yeah, we've been talking about this game all week long. Those highlights coming up. Plus, Kansas aims to improve to 5-0 today against Iowa State. Those highlights and more next. This year's Miners Bowl features two of the hottest teams in the MIAA right now. Pittsburgh State hosts rival Missouri Southern for the 54th all-time meeting between the schools. Pitt State trying to stay perfect today and get its 8th straight win over Southern. First quarter, Chad Dodson Jr. finds Dallas Bond in the back of the end zone for the touchdown. Gorillas up 7-0. Pitt State great on defense in the first half. Forced fumble here. Michael Lacey recovers. Pitt State takes possession. Then look at this. Defensive lineman Zeke Wall barrels in for 6. Pitt State extends the lead to double digits. Chad Dodson Jr. gets 2 more touchdown passes in the first half. Jack Roberts here. Great blocks on the outside. Roberts gets in the end zone. Then Dodson airs it out to Christian Carter. He goes up and gets it. 31-yard connection. 28-3 at half. Pitt State rolls by Missouri Southern 38-9.
Play to kind of slow them down. It seemed like they were able to answer with a big play of their own, and that's the sign of a top 10 team. You know, they didn't get that ranking on accident. They're a good football team, and they did exactly what you're supposed to do on a home game.
The Kansas Jayhawks are 4-0 for the first time since 2009. They're at home today hosting the 3-1 Iowa State Cyclones. Scoreless in the second, Daniel Highshaw takes the handoff, runs it in for the first touchdown of the game. Kansas leads 7-0. Later, Jalen Daniels keeps, punches it in from 2 yards out. 32 seconds left in the game now. Iowa State trails by 3. Jace Gilbert for the 37-yard field goal to tie it, and it's wide. Kansas fans storm the field. Jayhawks hang on to win 14-11. The Kansas State Wildcats are 3-1 to start the season. They cracked the top 25 this week following a huge 41-34 win over Oklahoma. The Wildcats aim to keep momentum going, hosting Texas Tech today. Opening drive for Kansas State, Adrian Martinez takes off for a 57-yard gain. Next play, he calls his own number, finishes the drive with an 18-yard score. 7-0 early. Later, tied at 13 in the third quarter, Martinez finds Phillip Brooks, bobbles, but he makes the catch and dives into the end zone. It's tied once more here in the fourth. Martinez again shows off his wheels. 69 yards to the house. 27-20 Wildcats. K-State quarterback doing it all today. Gets in for his third rushing touchdown of the game. 171 yards on the ground. Kansas State beats Texas Tech 37-28. Staying in the Big 12 top 25 matchup here, and a rematch of last year's Big 12 championship game. Baylor hosts Oklahoma State. Jaden Nixon opens the second half with a 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. Cowboys lead nearly the whole way through. They get to 4-0 today, topping Baylor 36-25. At the JUCO level, Neo is 2-2 through its first 4 games. They started strong, posting back-to-back shutout victories, but the Norsemen have cooled off, losing their last 2 games. Neo aims to bounce back at home today, hosting Tyler. Gavin Cold drops back, pressure comes. The ball's punched out. Trey Gibbs recovers it in the end zone. 2-0 Tyler. Third quarter now. Danica is done scrambling. Norsemen swarm. He's down for a loss. In the fourth, Neo desperate to get some offense going here. Cold's pass is picked off. Tyler turns it into 3 points. Neo falls 5-0. Coffeyville on the road today at Ellsworth. The Coffeyville defense picks off Ellsworth's quarterback 5 times today. The Red Ravens beat the Panthers 31-7. Independence has a tough one today, facing 2-ranked Iowa Western. Pirates come up short 17-8, the final.
Yeah, so next week, Pitt State will face Northwest. So that'll be like their, really first challenge of the season. And then Southern should get things rolling again. They play Lincoln from where they at Jeff City. So hopefully Southern get things rolling again.
Yeah, they definitely say no days off in the MIAA. So each week is a big one.
Absolutely. All right, sounds good. We'll be back with more after this. A woman in Chicago is being honored in a big way. Mark Revere introduces us to Mary Cantway, who is celebrating 108 years of life.
She's been a staple of this South suburban Chicago community for more than 6 decades.
Yes, I'm very fortunate that I have my mind and can talk to people and enjoy people, and so that's wonderful.
Now Mary Cantway is being honored on her 108th birthday in the village of Homewood.
I'm so fortunate that the age that I am, that I have as many friends as I have.
Residents from all over town and beyond writing her hundreds of cards hand-delivered by Mayor Richard Hofeld.
It's us as the community saying, happy birthday, Mary.
The great-grandmother of 6 still celebrating, soaking in the moment with TV cameras and a front-page spread in the local paper.
An oral article about me, anything else, and it seemed like it was all kind of good.
One of her favorite memories?
The man landing on the moon, which I just thought was impossible.
Cantway has lived through the dawn of a new era, through the Depression, World War II, the Cuban Missile Crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic, the dawn of the internet, for goodness sake. And after all of that and more, she has this advice.
But I think you do have to keep moving, to keep going.
And as for the faster pace of today's technology,
everybody has an iPhone in their hand. I don't want one. I know that. So I'll stick to the telephone.
Maybe we should take a page from her book. In Homewood, Mark Rivera, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
108 years, man.
Amazing.
I bet your stress levels were pretty low to be living that long.
Exactly. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
And we've been also talking about some nice weather and no 108-degree temperatures, that's for sure. Instead, we've been seeing highs in the 80s, and that's going to continue right through the week. A little bit chance of rain as we head towards next weekend, and much cooler temperatures as well.
All right, Danny, what do we have?
Pitt State gets a dominating win over Missouri Southern. They're 5-0 now this year, and like you said, Jalen, hopefully some momentum now heading into Northwest next week.
For sure, that'll be a pretty big matchup. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.